Just waiting for it to finish.
Sure.
Okay, looks like we're live. My name's Annette Friesman. I'm with COVID Recovery Iowa, and with me today we have Jenny from Lynn County Conservation. So, Jenny, can you tell me a little bit about what county conservation does?
Sure, absolutely. So in Iowa, there are 99 counties, and in each county, there is a county conservation board present. And we're at the county level. So a lot of people, they know of the DNR, the Department of Natural Resources. That's at the state level. So what we do is we bring it down a little bit more local. There's public lands, so you probably do camping, go to the parks and such. So at the county level, we manage and maintenance some of these public lands on a county level. And of course, below that is then there's the city parks. So it's kind of state, county, and city.
And city.
We're very, very similar in what we do as far as, like I said, land management and such for wildlife preserves. In many of the counties, there's also a nature center, like here in Lynn County. We have Wiki Uphill Learning Center, so that's our nature center here. And of course, then that's where we do education for school kids, on field trips, or just public programs for children and adults too.
Okay,
So, yeah.
Awesome. So we want to talk about disasters, obviously, because that's what the pandemic is a disaster. But you and Lynn County had another disaster last fall or last late summer, right?
We got the extra prize, yes.
Yep. So you had that derecho. And we know that there's different reactions to disaster. You can have anger, sadness. Maybe you lost a family member. Maybe you lost some beautiful landscaping that you love, that you worked really hard on, So grief and loss of landscape can also be, something that people are going through right now, because there's a lot of landscape that's in trees that are gone there. So I understand that Cedar Rapids lost a significant amount of what you guys call the tree canopy.
Yeah. It's been estimated, 60 to 70, even 75% of our tree canopy has been lost within the Cedar Rapids, Marion area. So I mean, if you can just imagine yourself walking into like a jungle, so to speak, in some of these neighborhoods, I mean, it was just all trees, and now it's just gone. I know many people joining us today, maybe they've seen, pictures and videos, but it's hard to describe when you actually walk down through these neighborhoods to see a tree that was nearly 100 years old. That would basically cover 2, maybe 3 backyards is just gone. So it is a loss of something that's familiar and cherished. Maybe this home that you were living in, where your grandparents' house, and maybe you helped plant that tree, or you remembered that tree very small, or stories around it. So there's always that connection with trees. And it's interesting that we don't know what we have until it's gone,
Right.
that kind of scenario, that situation. So
Right.
This is a good reminder. It's a harsh reminder of what happened with the derecho storm, but it's a good reminder of how precious nature is and what we need to do for it. And now it just comes down to, we have a choice. What are we going to do, now? What are we going to do about it moving forward? So with the pandemic, the derecho, here locally, we don't know what's coming next. We're getting a little scared about what's going to happen next, but what we can do is start planning the future with our trees and what we're going to plant and how to prepare.
Okay, so from that, parents may want to know, how do you go about planting a tree? So what's the best time for them to plant?
Yeah, so there's this old saying, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. And I know, and a lot of people are like, well, if I plant a tree, I will never. But you really, planting a tree is kind of, it's a selfless act. You're planting it for someone else, another generation, another person to enjoy, and of course all the wildlife benefits as well that go along with it. So the next best time to plant a tree is right now. So spring is a great time. The buds are coming, the sap is flowing, so right now is a good time to plant. And honestly, if you just can't plant and it's the middle of the summer, you can do that too. It's more stressful on the tree, but it still can be done. It just needs more watchful eye, more watering, and things like that. But then the fall would be another good time too. So Right now with the spring, plant trees, shrubs, really anything, is a good time.
Okay, and what are the best trees to plant for Iowa?
Yeah, I'm really glad that you asked. I know everyone is out there and they want to move on quickly. They just want to find a tree, no matter where, no matter what place, and let's just get a tree here and get something growing. So locally anyway, because of the vast destruction of losing all the trees, I know a lot of the garden centers, landscape areas, they are tapped for trees. They're trying to get a lot of trees in, but of course people are buying up these trees quickly. And so there could be a problem sourcing trees, but the kind of tree, it's worth the effort to try and plant something that is native. Sometimes our native trees, maybe they're not as pretty. Maybe they drop seeds or acorns. Maybe they're a little bit messier because native trees are for, wildlife. So I strongly, strongly recommend planting natives. One, they're supposed to be here. They're going to survive a whole lot better. And they support more wildlife. So a mature oak tree actually supports over, like 280 insects, different species of insects, 280 insect species, not just 280 total, but different kinds of insects. A ginkgo tree, that's one, it's got a very pretty leaf. They kind of smell, A ginkgo tree supports zero insects. So ginkgos are not native here to Iowa, not even native to the United States. So you really got it, and you're like, well, okay, so an oak tree supports a few bugs. Great. What eats bugs? Birds, because there's the larvae on there, the insect larvae. So of course the birds are going to come and the whole life cycle thing. So you got to start with a tree that supports kind of the smaller things like bugs that leads to bigger things like birds. So it's all connected. So
Awesome.
native.
So we're talking about a whole ecosystem, not just what's pretty and looks. So keep that in mind.
Right. And I'm realistic. I understand. Some people just want a pretty tree, something that blooms and just different things. I completely understand that. So we'll do a little trade-off here. Go ahead, plant a pretty tree, maybe not native, but then put one that is native. In your yard.
So where's a good place for people to get these trees? I know you said that there are a lot of places that are selling out. So where can they go look for these trees?
Yeah, start with your garden centers. Maybe you can do kind of a special order. Maybe you can purchase one now, and then when they come in, you can get one. The state DNR actually has a state forestry, so you can do a search and you can purchase trees from them. I believe they are much smaller, maybe only 20 inches tall, kind of a little bit sapling. And you might be looking at it like, wow, that's going to take a very long time to grow. But if you have a large area that you want to plant, maybe 10 trees, maybe you can share with a neighbor or another landowner or something like that to plant many, many trees. So the state DNR forestry would be a good place to start. And it would also give you a list of what is actually native here in Iowa as well, and what trees are best for wildlife. So I would start with the local garden centers first.
Okay.
So, knowing that it'll be tough. It'll be kind of tough to get them.
So do I need to call anybody before I plant a tree?
Yeah, yes, please. Make sure you call. Even if you think, oh, there's nothing here, I'm all the way out in the middle of nowhere. Of course, that's it's the Iowa 1 call, 811. You can actually go online and you can fill out a request. So what they do, they give them a few days. Don't think you're going to plant a tree in the afternoon. Don't call them in the morning, and but give them a few days. A week is actually preferred. You can submit a request online, give them your name and your address. They come out, they flag all the lines like electrical and gas and cable and everything. And that way you know where to not dig and put your tree.
So 811,
yes.
Call 811.
Yep, it's Iowa 1 call. And don't forget, you're looking down underground, but don't forget to look up, because if you have power lines and other things, some of these trees can get, 50, 60 feet tall. So you want to make sure that you're also looking up. There's nothing worse than having this beautiful, grand, mature tree, but then you have power lines and they have to cut it down or cut it way back. So.
Good. That's a good thought. So a lot of our parents are wanting, looking for things that teens can do, activities for teens. So is there any volunteer opportunities for teens when it comes to planting trees or anything conservation wise?
Yeah, I mean, yes, there always is. I mean, we could always use volunteers. Sometimes it's just helping out with some of our educational animals that we have. We have snakes and turtles and things that we use for our educational programs. There's always something to clean, put it
I
that
can do the
way.
turtles, but the snakes, no thank you.
Right. I know. I understand. Not everybody loves it. My mother is one of them. But as far as planting trees, there's a program locally. It's called Trees Forever, and they're very, very active, extremely active right now. In fact, as you can imagine, but they have a program. It's called Tree Keepers, and what you can do is go ahead and get on Trees Forever's website, check out this Tree Keepers program. But it's kind of like well, as the title suggests, you kind of are the keepers of the trees. You help water them, take care of them, and it depends on where these trees are planted. Maybe it's at some of the city parks. I know they also have a program in Des Moines as well for these tree keepers. So I would check into Trees Forever right now if you're really wanting to get involved with tree plantings.
Okay, so I think tree planting and doing this volunteerism could also help our mental health. So
Yeah.
planting a tree in 2021 could be a great way to do that as a family or, as friends to commemorate, anything that you want it to do. So
I agree. I mean, that tree's going to grow. So are you. So hopefully you're growing into better times, better memories. Absolutely.
yes. Yeah. So it's a great tangible way to help
Right.
access ways to improve our environment as well as our mental health, I think.
Absolutely. Yes.
Anything else that you want to mention or ways that they can contact you if they have any questions or anything like that?
Yeah. They can you can contact Lynn County Conservation. And I don't know if you want to write out some of my information, or I can tell you now and people can write it down.
We can do both. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So the phone number for the Lynn County Conservation Department, it's going to be 319-892-6450.
Okay.
And if you want to go ahead and send an email, my contact information is Jenny, JENNY .Corbett, CORBETT. It's at lynncounty.org.
Okay, and I will put those contacts in the comment section too. So that was one question. Can people call you with questions about specific trees?
I will get you as far as I can. I will be honest, I am limited on vast tree information. What I would suggest to do is call the local garden center, and they'll have some information as well, like maybe specifics if it's like, if it's disease resistance and different things. So start with that. I'd also start with the Iowa State Extension. Your local Iowa State Extension. They're going to be good as well. I know the DNR has a state forester, an arborist, so you can also reach out to them.
Okay.
I will help out as best as I can, but just know I may have to send you off to somebody else to give you more details.
It's a good place to start.
Yes,
yep.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. I will put in the comments for anybody the link to the DNR forestry. I'll put in your contact information and link to Iowa State Extension as well, so people can get a couple places for people to get started. So Jenny, thank you for joining us today. So I will put her contact information there. If you want to get a hold of COVID Recovery Iowa, covidrecoveryiowa.org, or you can call 800-447-1985. So thank you, Jenny.
Yes, thanks, Annette.